Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright, lads and lassies, we're going into fight week for Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo Alvarez. I've just watched an IFL interview with Tom Saunders, Billy Joe Saunders' father, and he touched on a few things there that I feel the need to talk about, specifically the ring size. Now, he touched on a few things, and he said things about Canelo which are interpreted as accusations about the lack of drug testing for this fight. You kind of know what that's insinuating, and Canelo wrapping his hands, getting double wrapped. We've heard about that in the past. I think most noticeably Triple G, the first fight, Abel Sanchez was very unhappy about that. But the thing that's really striking me, and they've said that if this isn't compromised, they're willing to leave. And this wasn't Billy Joe's dad, really, animated, you know the way John Fury is. If John Fury doesn't get things his own way, or if Team Fury get things his own way, you know what he's like. He's just roaring, and his bark is worse than his bite. Sort of way, like, where he's really just trying to be loud. This wasn't like that from Billy Joe's dad. This was just level-headed, and it's like, this is what we were told. This is not what we're getting, and we want this. So essentially, they were told that the ring, I believe he said the ring would be 24 feet, which is, a decent sized ring. It's a ring where if you're a mover like Billy Joe is, it will benefit you because you'll be able to use the ring, you'll be able to move around a lot more, you'll be able to control the distance a bit better, and the opponent would have to go looking for you, and it wouldn't be as easy for him to cut the ring off, essentially, because you've got more space to move around. Apparently the ring, they're saying, is, I believe it's 20 feet, so it's a lot smaller than they originally believed. Alright, a 20-foot ring. I actually had someone reach out to me on Twitter and said a 20-foot ring is actually quite small in comparison. I've only been in however many rings, they've all been small, but apparently this one is quite small. So if you're a mover, you're really not going to have much way to get out of the room. You're not going to have much room to get out of the way if you're a mover. So it really doesn't benefit Billy Joe at all. It would benefit someone like Canelo, who's going to be looking for his opponent. Now, Team Saunders have said they're willing to compromise and go for a 22-foot ring. If that is not met, Tom Saunders has said that they're leaving. They're going. Now, cast your minds back to 2015, Dusseldorf, Team Fury. They were very unhappy with the ring in the Klitschko fight. It wasn't the size that they were unhappy about, it was the canvas. I believe it had a double layer of foam, which Team Fury were not happy with because it was very spongy. I've stood on I've sparred in spongy canvases, very spongy canvases, and they do sap your strength. They're not nice. And they were very unhappy about that. And I believe, now it's been several years now, but I believe they actually got that changed. It was Peter Fury who was kind of the head of Fury's camp at the time. I believe they got that changed. So I would imagine that we will see this ring size change. For me, Billy Joe, if he's going to be moving, he needs a big ring. Eddie Hearn, because when I think of this, I think back to Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua, the rematch. Because cast your minds back to how big that ring was. It was huge. If that was 24 foot, that was big. That ring was really, really big. Go back and look at that. And it was so beneficial to Anthony Joshua because it gave him the room to be able to move around that ring, keep Ruiz at a distance. And Ruiz, obviously he was out of shape in that fight, but if the ring was smaller, maybe it would have benefited him a bit more, even though he was out of shape. But that was a massive ring. So Eddie Hearn, it seems to me, is he doing Team Saunders any favours? Look, Eddie Hearn is promoter of both guys. But I've said it, and other people have said it, that Eddie Hearn is a businessman. Right? He is a businessman. He's all about business. He got Billy Joe with this fight. But he obviously knows that Canelo is where the money is. He knows that Canelo working with him will mean he'll have the two biggest cash cows in boxing. He knows Canelo brings money. So although he's promoting both guys, he's not going to be impartial. He got Billy Joe this fight as his promoter, as he should. But realistically, we know Eddie Hearn wants Canelo to win this fight. He's not outright said it, but his actions have just led you to believe that, look, he wants Canelo to win this fight. Without saying it outright, I want Canelo to win this fight, planning Canelo's next fight, going back and kind of fought with Billy Joe over this, that, and the other, saying that, the pictures with Canelo, it's obvious who Eddie Hearn wants to win this fight. Is he doing Billy Joe any favours? Not necessarily. You know, if they were told one size, you see, here's the thing: if they were told it'd be this size ring and they go back on it and they're having to compromise, if that's true, and Eddie Hearn did tell him it was one size and then change it, that's not really on. But as I've said several times, what I would like is, obviously we know Eddie Hearn, without saying it, as I said, he wants Canelo to win this fight. He's obviously wanting to keep Canelo on board at Matchroom, working with Canelo. But if he wasn't so in your face about it, you know, it's quite apparent too Eddie Hearn wants to win this fight. Other promoters have done that in the past. You know, I've mentioned Frank Warren. I said I laughed when Frank Warren came out and said, well, Eddie Hearn's being too biased towards Canelo. And I was like, Dubois, Joyce, ring a bell? You know what I mean? you look like someone who was you look like a girl who was just told her fella was cheating on them. You know, you had that kind of face on you. So for me, Frank Warren can't say anything. But, you know, when the promoter's promoting both guys, at least try and stay impartial. We need to watch this space. I think this fight's still going to go ahead. They probably will compromise and do a 22-foot ring. Obviously, it's not as big as 24-foot ring, but it will still play into Billy Joe's strengths a little bit. He'll be able to move. As I said, Billy Joe is not going to be standing trading with Canelo. So the bigger the ring for him, the better it is for him. The more time he has to move, you know, the more range he has to move around the ring. You know, the bigger space, etc., etc. If it's a small ring, you know, it plays into the pressure fighter strength. We've seen that. Remember Lennox Lewis, Ray Mercer. I think that was in Vegas, that fight. Look how small that ring was. That was a very small ring. That might have even been a 16-foot ring. That was very small. Lennox Lewis, we know, the boxer, the jabber, you know, he really had a tough time that night. Ray Mercer was on him like a bad smell because that ring was so small, right? Now, obviously, it's not going to be this small, but you see how it plays into someone who's looking at pressure. It plays into their strengths because they don't have as much room to move. It's vice versa in this. So we'll need to watch this space, see how it goes. As it stands when I'm recording this, it's nearly midnight now, so we'll see. It could have changed by tomorrow and I might even upload this video. Who knows? God only knows. But as it stands, this is what's happening. Watch the space. We'll know come what fight night. I've done my prediction video. I'm not going to tell you. You go back and watch that video. It's doing quite well, actually. Very well. So people know my stance on who I think will win this fight, irrespective of the size of the ring, etc., of all them things. But thought I'd make this video. I just found it interesting. Win or lose or draw, it's going to be interesting to see what Billy Joe does moving forward with promotional wise. I would imagine that should he lose this fight, we will get an absolute, either from Billy Joe, from Tyson Fury, or even from his dad, there will be one massive rant at Eddie Hearn in an IFL or Boxing Social video coming. Wait and you see that. Watch the space. That'll definitely happen. For now, I'm going to leave it here. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you did. Subscribe, of course, if you lads and lasses, I should always say, are you to the channel. Subscribe, of course, hit the like button, hashtag GMansRocks, all that good stuff. For now, lads and lasses, I'll talk. Just hope you're having a great day, great week. Peace.